Hi everyone, I'm Shweta Hegde. I'm a second year undergrad student from Mysore and I'm here with Meghna.
Hi, I'm Meghna Girish. I have just completed my master's in biochemistry.
So recently we finished Cyrio's first ever science communication workshop, of which Meghna and I were participants. So today we are here to chat, discuss, and get an insider's perspective from Suchita Champak, who is the founder and editor of Cyrio, as well as the organizer of the workshop. Hi, Suchita.
Hi, Shweta. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm really glad and happy that both of you all took this initiative to actually spread the word beyond just the participants and mentors circle to talk to people about how you all benefited from the workshop and how we can, brainstorm and move further, making this a better workshop for the next time. Thank you.
So, hi, Suchita. Firstly, congratulations for successfully completing your, first workshop on science communication. So, tell us about, what's your feeling, after completing the workshop?
I was really excited when I started out, and also a little bit nervous. But towards the end of the workshop, I was really happy about how it turned out, and it was beyond expectations. All the credit goes to the mentors and the participants. They were very enthusiastic, interactive, and they made the best use of the sessions, I must say. So I'm really happy about that.
So, talk us through how you came about the idea of workshops. Like, what inspired you to organize such an amazing workshop?
About the inspiration. Initially, when I started out Cyrio, all I wanted to do was communicate science, but then I realized there was this huge void behind the space where science communicators themselves needed better opportunities to learn and also a platform to communicate science. So that's when Cyrio pivoted, and there was a lot of thinking that went behind this first workshop, because I wanted to see how beginners, people who are still looking to figure things out for this field of science communication, I wanted them to get a bigger picture, get the entire landscape in front of them, so they can make a decision if they want to continue with this career, or do it part time, or even take this up full time, if not now, in the future, right? So that was the entire inspiration for this. I was trying to see if there were other courses or workshops that encompassed multiple elements to give the beginners a good picture, but I couldn't find any of them. Most of the workshops that I have seen or come across are focused on a particular element, mostly science writing, and also some courses that were in science art, focusing on different elements of science communication, how we can blend the different elements and different formats. That's something that was the core principle for this workshop, and that's why it was formulated in such a way.
Coming up with idea is one thing and executing is altogether a different level. So, how easy or difficult was the process? What was the process like for you? From going from an ideation to the execution process. Could you tell a little bit about that?
Sure. This entire process of idea to execution is something that I'm going to cherish forever, because this is the first ever workshop I ideated, planned, and executed fully all by myself. And this is the first workshop for Cyrio, so I'm really proud of how it turned out. I had been in touch with the mentors individually for quite some time now, and I was trying to figure out what would be the best fit to the mentors themselves and the participants too. So when I started out, I just was listing down the important elements of what were the first few things that a science communicator should know, so they can begin the first few steps and then figure things out, right? So that was, I just started jotting those pointers down, and then I saw how I can bring people on board who can talk about individual elements, and through the process it just turned out really well. And in terms of execution, it was difficult for me because this was a virtual workshop, and I had to figure out a lot of back end and technical details, because when you have a virtual session, it's not just about how you're going to get the mentors and participants together, but also how you're going to make the experience more immersive and not really miss the in-person sessions, right? So that's the very one important reason why I also chose the platform that we chose, because there was a very good option for informal networking, that I could enable before and after the sessions, which would make introductions and create the network for the participants themselves, because that is also something very important when you're starting out in a career. You would want to know your contemporaries, also know people whom you can follow and learn a lot from, right? So that was something that I was that was something I took some time to figure out, but I did. And also the other thing I was really conflicted was with the selection procedure, right? So I did not want to do injustice, so I was really very cautious on how I could pick up the applicants. And also we had a component of offering scholarships as well, so there were a lot of people who wanted scholarships, because I know that for a fact that my target audience, to whom I want to reach out to, are people, are students, undergrads, postgrads, and also PhD students, where I cannot really quote a lot and then say that you pay me so much, and then I can't do that, because I've been there, and I know how hard it is for someone to shell out money for a course where they just want to figure out if they want to take this career up, right? So these were certain things that I thought I took a lot of time and thinking and reiteration to actually understand how best I can execute
Yeah,
it.
so to probe further on, how you sort of went about organizing it, could you talk about like how you ensured diversity in the participants as well as mentors, and how did you remunerate the mentors' effort, and how did you find that balance and so on? I'm just curious. Yeah.
Yes, like I said, that was a challenge and an experiment, I must say, which turned out really well. And for researchers, when your experiments are a success for the first time, you're overwhelmed, right? So, yes, it was very important for me to find the balance between how I can remunerate or, give value to the time and effort the mentors have put into this workshop, versus how best I can provide value to the participants themselves, right? So I was looking to see, because with this workshop, it's not just the sessions that the mentors take, because post sessions, they would also we also ask them to provide feedback for the assignments that those participants submit, because that's something which would give a very good start for the participants to know that what are the things that they're doing right, what are the things that they can do better, and so on and so forth, right? So it was more than just a webinar for the mentors and for the participants, right? So that was a fine balance that I needed to find. And also while choosing the mentors, I was really careful because I wanted to also make sure that the mentors also had the intent to teach and also interact with the participants, because there are there are first of all, very few people in this field, but I should say that most of them, if not all, are really collaborative and welcoming when they want to teach or even help people grow, right? So that was a very important factor, and I must say all the mentors were really good, forthcoming, and I was really happy even when the participants could feel that, right? So yeah, that was a very important factor for me over there. Yeah. And with respect to diversity and the selection process, yes, diversity was something that was very important for me because a lot of courses, if not all, that are offered in science writing or science communication in India are mostly focused on or offered to PhD students. I feel that that's a very big gatekeeping factor, which would deter people like undergrads or postgrads or even research fellows, junior research fellows who would want to look at this option, right? So uh, we would just deprive this whole big chunk of uh, the field of sciences and academia by just allowing these courses to be available only to PhD or postdoctoral fellows. So I wanted to make sure everyone, it was accessible to everyone, and also made sure people who were in between shifting their careers, right? So who were preparing for their PhD or and things like that. So I wanted to make sure they were also involved, because those are people who are also thinking about exploring different career forms, and this would be something that they would really want to know, right? So that was very important. And also during selection, I made sure that there was a good mix of bachelor students, undergrad, postgraduate students, PhDs, and there were a couple of postdoctoral fellows as well. So that's a very good diverse pool, I must say. And also I'm sure especially the younger ones in the group did get a very good exposure and a good network to interact with PhD students and get a good insight from them. So yeah, I'm very happy about that.
So touching upon what you mentioned about Airmeet, apart from networking, what other features made you choose Airmeet?
I was trying to see how I can make the platform more inclusive and more equal to an in-person session, right? Because thinking about in-person events, at least for this entire year, is ruled out. So I needed to figure out how this was more inclusive and interactive, because science communication is all about understanding how communication works and how you can collaborate and communicate science more effectively, right? So that's one of the reasons why I chose Airmeet. And the biggest factor for choosing Airmeet was specifically the networking sessions, right? So there you have a virtual platform where you can get together in small groups, which sort of mimics your tea or coffee time during your workshops or conferences, where you try to go around talking to new people, making new connections, right? So that was a very important component of this workshop, and that's the reason why I stuck to Airmeet. I wanted to see how little I can spend on these other technicalities, so that I can like balance between how well I can pay the mentors versus how little I can take from the participants.
Adding on to your answer, in-person meet will not is not in the near future, but if so, COVID isn't there, would you plan to conduct such workshops in person?
Absolutely. I mean, in-person events are the dream events that I want to conduct. Even one part for for training and learning and exercise purposes for science communicators, while on the other hand, where we go out to the public, interact with them and all that, right? So that is going to take a big chunk of Cyrio when in-person events are more conducive. With respect to this particular event, yes, of course, I want to have this as an in-person thing, but again, there are a lot of things that we need to consider in terms of how travel and accommodation fits in. And with virtual events, the best part is like you can get to know people from different places, right? So see, this first workshop that we had people from Colombia, we had people from Canada who joined, and that sort of diversity is hard to get by when it's an in-person event. But on the other hand, in-person events open up to many more collaborations, better interactions, and that human connection you can never get in a virtual event, that I'd say. So I'm trying to see how we can get a good blend of both, or rather the best of two worlds in one place. But yes, I am looking at that.
So moving ahead, as you talked about your future plans, what did you learn from this workshop that you weren't aware of? Let's say both from the mentors and the participants, and how would you take that learning ahead going on?
Okay, so with respect to new learnings, certainly I did have many takeaways from every session that I attended, and it was a pleasure listening to all of these mentors. You know, and especially with Ashima, right? So she spoke about how the back end of editing and how writing, improving your writing and all of that, right? So I'm also learning, and we also have the editorial part of Cyrio, where we do publish articles as well. So there was a lot of learning that I could take away from her, and I am certainly going to implement them. Apart from that, there were a lot of hypotheses and experiments that I had run, small micro experiments that I had run here in this workshop, which actually turned out really well, right? So I wanted to see how the networking session would turn out, for example, right? So I was actually very nervous about how interactive the participants would be, but I'm really proud of really proud of them, proud of you guys, because I know for a fact that it is difficult to come out of your comfort zone, talk to people, talk to new people, and learn many things. But that's where your learning starts, right? So that is something that I wanted to bring out. So that was something that I understood that yes, it is going to work, right? So there were so many such small things that I actually wanted to see if it's going to work, and everything did. So I'm very happy about that.
Would you have any advice for the science communicators who would like to conduct their own workshop?
With respect to conducting their own workshops or sessions, I'd say go ahead, go do it. I mean, you don't have to, if you're not very confident about saying that, if you feel that you're probably not the authority to conduct a workshop, don't think like that. So maybe you can rebrand your workshop or session saying that, this is an interaction, this is open for discussion, and just go experiment, talk to newer people, go beyond your inner circle, go beyond your social network, make more connections, and see if you can probably say invite someone and get a session done, right? So let's say you're following someone from whom you're learning a lot, and you want to learn more, right? So you could either do a direct consultation with them, which probably I don't know how open each person would be, but then you could say that I'm just getting together a bunch of people, and we want to learn from you or listen to you, so could you join us, right? So that's something that's very that you can do and experiment.
Throughout the workshop, the emphasis has been around exploring new avenues, like new multimedia format for noise science communicators. Why do you think such effort is important now? And yeah, what are your perspectives?
Okay, first of all, hands down, and you know from the learning from the workshop how important the perspective of your audience is, right? Knowing your audience and what they want, right? And hands down, video multimedia content is what people are consuming. Comics, memes, podcasts, and short videos, like the reels and short stories are just like picking up in trend, and that's where people's eyeballs are going towards. So why don't we go there to that space to talk about science? And why do you have to expect someone to come to your space and read and know about science, right? So that was something very important. That was the biggest message that I wanted to pass on in this workshop. And I wasn't very sure how it was going to turn out, but the execution, all the credits should go to the mentors, because they just brought words out of my mouth, and they just articulated it so well to make sure people understand how important multisensory content is. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to emphasize on that in the session. So I really want people to explore different formats of science communication, uh, go all crazy, try different formats, and you never know what's going to work out, right? So you just don't have to stick to one and just be there thinking about if it's going to work out or not, because probably you just after this workshop you're very fascinated about podcasts, you start doing a podcast, and then in the process you do maybe a couple of episodes, maybe a series, and then if you're interested, go ahead, improvise on that, build your skills. But if you're not interested, you feel that's very tedious because audio editing and all of the back end work is too tedious. So probably if that's not your thing, maybe try something else, what's in your forte, right? So and I believe that everyone has a different skill. Like, they could be a very good artist, they could be someone who dances really well, someone who acts well, along these are some hobbies and interests that people have along with being a scientist or a researcher. So why don't you blend these elements and see how creatively you can communicate science? Yes, it's very important to explore different formats, but like every mentor has said throughout the workshop, writing is very important. You cannot bypass writing to go on, beyond for exploring other formats. Because let's say if you want to make a podcast, you need to write the script. If you want to create any multisensory content which has audio, video, or things like that, right? So you need to know what is the structure of your piece of content, right? So it's very important to know the elements and understand the elements of science, writing, but adding on to those skills, creating another element of creativity, or adding another element of that particular surprise, saying that, oh, I did not know I could learn science in this format, right? It was fun, like. So that's something that I want people to inculcate when they're communicating science, and that this was just the first step towards that particular goal that I have set to achieve.
So talking of the future, so what is next for Cyrio? What have you been planning? I know there's something in the pipeline, so can you talk a little bit more?
Sure. With respect to this particular workshop, yes, I want to have sequels of this workshop, and that's the whole reason I had SciComm Live 1.0, because I know there will be better versions of the workshop as and when I get better feedback from mentors and participants. With respect to other things pertaining to Cyrio, we just launched SciComm Fosters, which is a more inclusive and immersive workshop series, where we want to have sessions where the participants can engage more than just listening and note taking from the sessions. Rather, they'll be more proactive, conduct different experiments, do assignments, and have a hands-on experience of communicating science. But apart from that, we are also open to other workshops or hands-on events where science communicators who are associated with Cyrio can go out and have conduct events, that is like actually go interact with people. So one thing is learning how to communicate science, and another thing is the implementation part, right? So we also want to see how we can collaborate in small groups and conduct events and if not in person, online activities with people across the country or even the globe to sort of do the actual work that science communicators are meant to do. Also, the main focus along with training and communicating science is also to see how we can create more opportunities for science communicators, because thanks to the pandemic, people have realized how important science communication is, and people want to address the demand supply deficit of accurate, verified and creative forms of science content, which is being increasingly used or consumed by people across the globe, right? So that is something that people are looking at, and I actually want to take advantage of it and go all in and see how we can create opportunities for science communicators. So that is also a very important aspect for Cyrio.
I'm all the best for all of the future endeavors of yours. I mean, and I hope Cyrio becomes what you envision it to be. So yeah, thank you so much for such a wonderful and insightful discussion today. I hope people who listen to us today will enjoy it as much as we did. So again, once again, thank you so much for all the work that you do, Suchita, and also for organizing this much needed workshop. Congrats on its success, and again, all the best for all of your future endeavors. And thank you, Meghana, for co-hosting the session as well. It was really great, having this sort of discussion. And I think for all the people who are listening, keep an eye out for all the announcements and exciting new projects on Cyrio's social media handles. And I think you can also contact Suchita anytime on Twitter or LinkedIn or by email. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Shweta and Meghna, for making this happen, because I always wanted to discuss, how the event went by, and I wanted to showcase people how actually more inclusive and more interactive, science communication workshops or learning how to communicate science could be. And I was really happy when you guys came forward and said, you want to report it, and you also wanted my perspective, right? So thank you so much for taking the time out to have this discussion. And I'm sure this is also a success from the workshop. I must say that you guys are coming out of your shell, talking to people, interacting. Is this your first interview that you're taking, both of you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. Nice. That's really nice. I'm very happy about that. Thank you, Shweta. Thank you, Meghna.
And also shout out to all of the amazing mentors and the participants.